stay.
I'm not
Snow is here
going.
to stay.
Oh,
Hmm.
No snow over there.
no?
No.
Mm.
Nice. +9, +10.
That's only because Trump ordered it.
Probably. But windy. Oh, man. Terrible. Yeah. Of course, that was a red state where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still see Trump signs on the streets.
Montana only has a population of about 1 million.
Yeah.
Small.
Really? Holy man, I'm chubby.
It's called healthy.
I'm not going to
Nice
look
and
up. I
healthy,
don't want to see
boy.
myself.
Just look up.
Hours.
Okay, guys, we are live right now. All right, yeah, let's get into this. All right, good morning, Onion Lake. Hasemi na Kentucky Sigaw, Yawi Gusya, Tatamska Nawa Kakyo, Nanas Kamao, Mamoyutawino. Yeah, so so welcome back, Onion Lake and surrounding communities. There are people kind of buying into this, and they tune in and visit, and they message, and they reach out, and we have convos, and they have recommendations and ideas, and all things like that. So just acknowledging them too. But I think with that, we'll get into this. Just for the viewers out there, we're trying something new. We want to do mental health Monday morning. It's not always going to work out because things happen, and we're hoping our wellness department can fill in the space for Monday mornings. But again, life happens, right? So it won't be all the time guaranteed, but that's what we're shooting for. So this morning, I did manage to have some of our wellness staff agree to come and share some time with us, and they're here now. So we'll get into this. I know they have a lot of information they want to share with the community. I think we'll be doing announcements and things like that, and we'll get some flow happening here and see where it goes. So I think with that, we'll start off with a quick introduction. I'll start to my left over here with Mr. Whitstone. Then we'll come around to Miss Iron, and then Miss Dr. Saxon, and then it'll come back to me, and then we'll open up the floor, and then wherever you guys want to go with this, we'll get into it. So, Mr. Whitstone.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Mias nasimi ng katakisigaw, ewapatama, kitatamskat na agakyo. My name is Grant Whitstone. I work at the Onion Lake Healing and Wellness Office as the cultural manager. How?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brenda Red Iron Chokin. I'm the mental health clinical manager, therapist. I've been here in Onion Lake, married here for going on 20 years now, and I've worked in a few departments. I started off with the group homes for 3 years, and then I was with wellness for 5. I was working at the school as a guidance counselor for 7, and I'm back at wellness now since 2021. And that's where I think I'll be for a while.
Right on. Thank you, Miss Iron.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Saxon Govender. I'm the Director of Clinical Services for the Onion Lake Health Board Incorporated. And I've been with the nation now. This is my 4th year.
Hi. Right on. Thanks again, guys, for agreeing to do this and for coming to share some time with us. I think with that, we'll get into this. I know you guys have a lot of information you want to share. Wherever you guys want to start with this, wherever you guys want to go with this, I'll open up the floor. Whoever wants to go first, we'll get into it.
So I just want to make one major announcement. As per the recommendation of Chief and Council, the Healing and Wellness Office is now open up to 10 o'clock at night, every day, Monday to Friday. This started last week, and we are on a trial basis to see what the community response is. We understand that it'll take a while for people to get used to the idea that the wellness office is not closed at 4:30, but rather is open now from 8:30 to 10 o'clock every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And this will continue until March 31st of 2025. And this is to accommodate all those individuals, couples, families that may have difficulty coming during the normal work hours from 8:30 to 4:30. And, if they're working or they've got other commitments, we're now open well after 4:30. So even if they had time to have supper or they were taking their children out to a hockey game and to other things, they have ample time to come in until 10 o'clock every night. So I just want to make that announcement to the community, and we hope to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a question on that.
Mhm.
Could you provide an example or examples like what people can come in and request for what type of service or things like that?
So typically it will be any service. So oftentimes we will have a staff person that's from the cultural team. We'll have a person from the addictions team, and we will have a clinician as well. We have security as well available. So if somebody is having an emergency, they can have an intake done. If there is a couple that wants to do couples counseling, that could be accommodated. If there was a family that just wanted to come and do some grief work, they could do that. We also have a range of different group activities like the women's group, the men's group. We have drum making. All these activities can also take place at the Healing and Wellness Center. So there's a host of different things that can happen.
Another question: do you guys have will you guys be doing like sharing circles or anything like that? It could be.
Upon request, we can accommodate it. We can definitely make staff available to do that. Both Brenda and I are always available together with Grant to be available after 4:30 to accommodate some of those sharing circles. Or if you want to do a SISM, with particular staff, for example, from different departments, we could do that as well.
And what is the SISM?
It's critical incident stress management. So people that have attended, very traumatic events, they've been kind of somewhat affected by it in a negative kind of way, then we can talk about it to kind of resolve some of those feelings.
Okay. Cool. Right on. I like the sound of that because I think a lot of us, especially the young people and everybody in general, I think it's nice to know that there's a space where we could go if we're feeling under, depression or going through something and we feel like we have nowhere to turn. We could go to the wellness office. It's open till 10. Like counseling, therapy, things like that. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I like that. All right. So with that, moving on. Kigway kutak. Awiyak.
Okay, so what Dr. Saxon was talking about, we do a lot of different things for our people, when it comes to providing a service. how we can accommodate people that are busy throughout the day, and sometimes going on to the evenings they have some free time. That gives them an opportunity to stop in, say hi. As far as the cultural program itself, we do a lot of different things for our people. When it comes to ceremonies, all different types of ceremonies, we try and do our best to accommodate the community on the helping side. But at the same time, people come into office for some advice on some of the medicines that we have, but also they ask for guidance on where where they can go to go see, elders, or what's happening, what ceremony is happening, all these things. And then, we get called into the community with the different programs that we have for assistance to go talk to people, whether it's at the schools or the different types of programs. For example, Equiskeet or the Elders program. So we try and open the doors for the community a little more. So everybody and anybody is welcome to stop by and say hi, and just to visit us and see what kind of assistance you need as far as in the cultural way of our programs. There's so much more we can talk about. I just want to give you a little bit of update in that area, and of course, with the challenges that we face in this community, a lot of people, knock on our doors to get many different types of services on how we can help them. So, looked up the mga lagi.
Hi.
Okay, where do I start? I guess I will elaborate. And I may talk a little bit of Cree. My Cree is a little bit different, so hopefully,
Just want to interrupt real quick. We actually encourage and prefer Cree. Kaniganutet.
okay.
Ota.
Okay.
FYI. I'm trying to do that, but I'm learning. I'm trying. But yeah.
Okay. Nga gagawin ni Hio, pitin to go, magawin fix ko yan. Maga ay, there's different programs ngayon I oversee. Tas ko addictions. It's a lot of crisis. When people are in crisis, we help them with, applications for detox treatment. And I know Dr. Saxon had started quite a few programs, one with the detox center and the treatment center. Residential services mawatse were struggling because on ma continuum of care guys katama muy just kwang dayanan residential services. But on the counseling part, egwan mamina mental health counseling guys katama therapists niyanan. There's about 3 or 4 of us. We're advertising for one as I speak here. And I know it's scary to come through those doors, so we try everything to reach out to our community. Like Dr. Saxon mentioned, and we have 3 staff. Asko mananista gotandapin as long as I can. There is a lot of grief in our community, Tapui. And when families request Tapui Pongap Magutsunan to help families, there's 8 of us in our office that are trained. Ayan, ma-edutherapy, we specialize in grief work. I've done it for many, many years myself. I've worked with a lot of students when I was at the high school, and I continue to do so individually, and we can do groups. Yaguan mamina ka tamin mediation, circle talks, and magagwichimia. Yes, we do that upon request. we have another program on my children exposed to violence. I have 2 staff there, family and youth. They target the schools. They go to the schools. Next week is NAW week coming up, and so our goal is to work with the schools because we'll have audience there already, because in the previous years we've been doing presentations at the hall and it's not always a good turnout. So now we're trying something different. I'm not saying we're not going to have a presentation, because on Friday, the last Friday of the month here, we're planning a presentation. And I know Flurry is going to be part of that. So I hope a lot of our members attended. It'll be, we're also having our awareness walk here on Monday. I'm not sure now what's going to happen. December, Mana, we started last year where we call it Blue Christmas, but it is really a prayer service for all people grieving, because Christmas is always hard on a lot of people that have lost families. And so on the 16th of December this year is when we're planning to do our Blue Christmas, and it'll most likely be in the hall here, the Communiplex, and then of course we light up the teepee with the blue lights. We always plan to do awareness programming. We're open to suggestions. Our doors are always open, even through phone calls, and so forth. So yeah, it's so crucial. Stress stressan magaisih katama mam tunihchagan no koeska ksugwaka mui kaginayatino. We can't carry that pain and expect to function every day to the best we can. We have to take care of ourselves. I can't stress that enough, because kispin mui kanagatohkatino kamam tunihchagan no. I walk mam tunihtino tap dogi with me spine every day of our lives. If we don't take care of that, the guispi depression and magaisikata mayagwigwa tauhogwake. That's the worst thing, because nothing looks good to us. Everything is dark. We start to close our curtains. We don't leave our house. We don't want to talk to anybody. We start to push people away. That's when that depression starts to set in. Egwanianan at Wellness, we encourage people to come so we can help you process yagon magaisikatama tagkaskihtain taimut taimutamin tam skutamin yagunan hiki goy kamam tunihtamuhiguin kagaskihtamuhiguin ekutegwa peace yaguaniatahkasik kamam tunihtagan. It's getting lighter now, and so that's what we do, Nianan.
Right on. Thanks for that. Anyone want to add on to that?
So kuno kigoya kamam skutawan nitap makan getuan kamamam teneitameg tapuahto niswego etoskatama nihiu mamustigo no tegeise egu magotago mamanaga sigata kamulia tegeise uista mam teneichigano tansise tegeise waskuita Slamato gamgo mam skuta megtimi naman tupik skwatana na kaya muy pogo oskayak ma atos kahaga nagmina ulig min pik skwatana nagmana tatum stansum kis kitati chikuskaya kiwa gapi ko tamigo chik michet once no skaya pugisise wawisa yaya nahtugi go me we chapay kiwe katasiga nana toksisi we apupo gapita chiga pugi gamigo chika pu nana tugi we chapay ge mano sanuche stehoskaya nana tugi we kuchi tao Tego man nistanane go iskaskita ngo wichahana na sama tugam go apuchi hawe go ya ga pesep chige to nigi go mao apuchi Asko managihtiek pese tsigewa ke pigut tamigut tsugu semua tan summa kei tayago heksamanen tatsamustanak kagishitus katnan tan se sintoi tamangiwe kakawe kakwexnama to skaya eganu kiwe ga pigut tamigut kiwe ga wansi keksise moisegewe ninan kiwe ngagi tutena nangange pugo unigi gumaok apu kihte guyo gaglima chikano to simso guyo getso akpogo kosko itutag maganinan nete gatoskya sitoskoanan KYC no mona pogo piego yaksut kahkiona isino isitoskoa iskaskita kuetate atamanan sanowinan istanan Ogo mga mams ko taon nuitapmagan ex ko umatuskeon. Ego manaya micheta isinum tene kapepitaget tenuanetam. Semaki kwento takatutsagate maga. Tapos paset tapi ko ay sino tago na tuwisat maga. Pungo masasigatski ko mana kawas ko ito tama. Ego mam example case mupay tapos manito gati mo ako magkueski ko ito sa mo siya mag ito tami maga pukagan sto tami ka no ako magantik muli ako mas na ganun ma pukawit na kasakas ka na taak sisigil kawiwitsi hitay sino mo agsisema kagiwas ko ito tamagi ko mo agsisis payo kispin kintuwe mano kawitsi ha ay sino Pugo magatos kaskuta muma sa sigatski we sa sagas kenay pegewen kay sigatak uguma nga mamskutin up sa Stepano tiwitaman ahaw.
Hi. Yep, Brenda.
I'm just thinking to be fair to our listeners, because I know a lot of are only English speakers, and they only understand English, and maybe involve Dr. Saxon. So I talked a bit about stress, what happens when you don't take care of your stress, and it leads to depression. And then what Grant also mentioned in Cree about, how some people, when they're in crisis, they want things fixed right now. And I'm thinking about the mental health issues, how they, our community is rampant with addictions. And so we see many family members burning their bridges, I'm going to say. And so families just don't have it in them anymore, or feel they don't know how to help their daughter or their son or their niece, nephew, their relatives. And so they bring them to us and they want us to do something about it right now. And so when Grant mentioned the applications, and I think I'm going to ask Dr. Saxon to elaborate a little bit about the mental health order or the guardianship, because it seems like that is becoming there's more frequent requests for that part of supporting families. And so as well, when I talked about helping families when they come through our doors and how we help them do the processing and so they can learn to regulate their own emotions. I think I talked a little bit about that in Cree as well. So Dr. Saxon, I'm going to turn it to you now.
I'll just talk briefly about the different places that we have in the continuum of care and what the necessary admission requirements are. So, for example, if you're going to apply for medical detox, that's something that has to be done in person. We can facilitate and help make sure that you have transportation to get to Equiskeet, but once there, you have to fill in the application or do that application with the intake person or the intake coordinator at Equiskeet. It's a requirement. regardless of whichever detox or medical detox you go to. Now, because you're making the application and you're doing it in person, there is nobody, we can't force you or we can't make you stay in medical detox. You can leave at any time that you want because essentially you are an adult and you make choices for yourself and you are your own guardian. So oftentimes I think there is some confusion from family members that when they send their son, daughter, niece, nephew, brother, sister to medical detox, that somehow we can keep them there against their will. Unfortunately, we can't. So oftentimes, this is when we sit down and we talk with families about, for example, whether you would like to have guardianship, whether that's full or partial guardianship, whether we can execute a mental health warrant to help your loved one kind of get the care that they would need to keep them safe. And if there's a mental health warrant that's required, then we can help you fill out those forms, coach you through it, but eventually it will be the judge that will decide whether the mental health warrant will be executed or not, whether that will happen. And we've had recent experiences with some judges that have been not willing or very unwilling to execute a mental health warrant for some reason or the other. So in those instances, our hands are tied. There's not much we can do. We can't force people to come to treatment. We can't do any of that when they are unwilling. Number two, we can help with the guardianship. So oftentimes when we meet with families during hub meetings, we encourage family members, especially the parents, to apply for guardianship as opposed to having a public guardian appointed. This helps maintain the relationship with the son, daughter, sibling, so that as they recover, that relationship is still existent. And then once they're fully healed, they have an opportunity to re-enter the community in a way that's quite healthy. So these are the kind of services we do offer. And I'm hoping that this very brief explanation kind of helps clear some of the unknowns when you come in and you ask for some guidance.
Right on. Thanks for that. I think there's a lot of good information there that you guys touched on. One of them is like the immediate support, which is the intake at the wellness center. You want some counseling or therapy, that would kind of be immediate availability, or kind of like, a resource that's available right now, anytime. The other thing is the detox. That would require like, I guess the next step after that, come do an intake at wellness. Or it could be the immediate step too, right? The options are open. There's another addition I wanted to add on to that. But I could get into that after Brenda. I think Brenda wanted to add on to what Saxon said.
I'm just more going to focus on the on-call. We didn't mention the on-call. So we have a 24-hour on-call service. And we do keep a database, so we know what type of calls come through our through our phones, our doors. And some of the calls that we've been experiencing lately is to do with domestic, and we won't attend a domestic call because of the situation we could be, the risk is, unless the RCMP are called first and they call us to support the family, absolutely we'll go and support. But we cannot go to any type of domestic calls. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. We can do mediation, all sorts of the calls. Usually I'm the manager on call for that. Grant is also available as well, Dr. Saxon, to support staff. And they rotate. So they carry the phone. So we also have that service as well now that we have our office open till 10 o'clock. I just wanted to add that on. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to add on to these different pieces, and I really like it. I think it's all a part of the continuum of care. So you have the on-call service, you have the walk-in service, you have the medical detox service, and these are all for our band members or our community members. The other piece I wanted to ask, if maybe you guys could touch on it, the transitional home and how it relates to all these different pieces.
Okay, I can do that. So the transitional home, we've just an update. We have moved from the 40-person trailer to the 20-person trailer that was recently renovated, and the clientele moved almost 7 weeks ago. One of the things that's happening right now is a differentiation of the transitional home placement. So when we look at the continuum of care, we always talk about one, there's the transitional home, then there's a medical detox, then there's the inpatient rehab at Equiskeet, the 6-7 week program, then there's the cultural program, and then obviously we have the outpatient program that's post-treatment that exists in healing and wellness. Now, what we are trying to do is to differentiate each one of those pillars in the continuum of care. So now we look at the transitional home. We are working with social development and Glenda, the director, to have a emergency shelter in place, hopefully by the end of the year. So essentially, what this is, social development is teaching a basic trade skills program. They will be refurbishing 3 40-foot containers, winterizing them, and these essentially will become placements for 8 to 10 individuals who would require just emergency shelter. The typical hours of operation for the emergency shelter would be, it would open at about 6 p.m. in the evening. They would be provided with a meal, supper, and then breakfast in the morning, and essentially it would close by 8:30 the following morning. So the hours of operation would be from 6 in the evening to 8:30 in the morning. So very much like the way Lighthouse operates in Lloydminster, a typical emergency shelter. So that's one part of the continuum. For those folks that are actually want a little bit more, then they will go into the transitional home, where part of what you receive is the opportunity to attend at least 50% of the programming that we offer. And that means the daily AA programming, together with all the other programs like the domestic violence for male and female, the grief and loss through edutherapy, and so on. So you get the opportunity to get a little bit more. And then finally, if you're ready to go into treatment, then you will go into a 6 or 7 week treatment program. One of the prerequisites or the requirements for you to go into the transitional home is that you have to go to medical detox for at least 5 days now. Okay? So as you can see now, we are differentiating the program a little bit more. Now, Chief and Counsel also was interested in looking at the 40-person trailer that we just moved from, and we have a tentative budget to renovate the 40-person trailer. And we are hoping that this would become, in some ways, a place where individuals who have become successful in their treatment and have some kind of employment, whether that's part-time employment or full-time employment, but do not have a permanent place to stay, would be able to go and have temporary housing. This particular facility also has the opportunity to host up to 3 families in self-contained units. So what it does is it provides differentiated housing, which is really important in the continuum of care. So now, as you can see, we've taken the first pillar and differentiated it into places that people are more likely to fit, as opposed to having one size fits all. I hope that helps.
Yes, sir. Good information. Awesome. Who started the transitional home again?
Was it Fraser? I can't remember his last name.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, thanks for the information. That's really good information. I really hope this episode gets out to our membership, just so they could get a visual on, the different options that are there, the different services that you guys provide. I think a lot of times when you're on the outside looking in, and when you haven't actually utilized any of the services there, I think a lot of times we're afraid to go in there. We're afraid to ask for help. We're afraid to look for help. And a lot of times it seems overwhelming. So we don't want to go there, because then now you feel like you're interrupting something or disturbing something, or you feel like you're a burden, or you don't want to be a burden, right? Like, I think these are normal stigmas that might be out there.
That's true. I just want to share a couple of things. One is people that live in small communities, and Onion Lake is a large community. Everybody's always worried about their confidentiality, whether their confidentiality would be respected or broken. I just want to say to everybody listening out there, we try our utmost to protect your confidentiality. Every team member and employee signs an oath of confidentiality every year. And that means that they understand that respecting and honoring everything that you've come and shared from a place of vulnerability will be respected and honored. So I just want to say that that's really important up front. Number 2 is, for those of you that don't have transportation, we do provide transportation every day for you to attend the programs that we offer. So please do call, and we will make sure that somebody or staff will be up there to pick you up. I remember when we first started the AA programming, we used to have about 5, 6, 7, 8 people attending every day. We are now typically around 15 to 20 people every day, consistently. And I think this is a good example of what happens when you offer a program and it is consistent over time. People know that it is a resource and it's accessible. And I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, Miss Iron.
It's Red Iron Chokin.
Sorry, Miss Red Iron Choking. Sorry.
I just want to add a few things to the services in terms of providing services. We also do mediation. We work collaboratively with the community. So we've done mediation for other programs upon their request. As well, we provide support for safe family services. If they want to work with a family, a vulnerable family, we do go and provide services, depending again on our availability and so forth. But yeah, we definitely do that as well. Mhm.
Thanks, Miss Iron. Miss Red Iron choking. So I had a question just on the point that Dr. Saxon brought up. The programming, the AA, the NA, and things like that. I know when my program tries to offer programs, and I think this is part of the challenge as a community. We try to offer programs during the day between regular business hours, and I think a lot of times we see that our attendance numbers are low when it comes to programs, not only with wellness but every other program in the community. We have work or we have other commitments during the day that we can't attend. If there's enough interest, would wellness be willing to accommodate or switching from the daytime to the nighttime for programs, AA, NA, things like that?
We wouldn't necessarily switch the times from an established program. We would just offer the program in the evenings and see what the attendance is. So we would just replicate the same program that we offer during the day in the evenings and to see what the attendance is. Remember, we are in a phase of looking at how to respond to the needs of the community in a very dynamic kind of way. So from now till we've got November, December, January, February, March, we're looking at 5 months. So we're collecting a tremendous amount of data, and that data will essentially inform the kind of programming that will be in place starting April 1st of 2025. Now, one of the things that in discussions with Chief and Council as well has been the focus on early intervention, especially when it comes to drug and gang activity. So one of the things that we are focused on right now within the clinical and the cultural program is to make our staff available to all the schools in the mornings. So from essentially 9 o'clock to noon, we will have staff available to all 5 schools rather, so that they can do programming that's more proactive and preventative with regards to education about drugs and obviously about how to avoid going and into any kind of gang-related activity. So that's the other big push in terms of the changes within healing and wellness in terms of programming.
Miss Red Iron choking.
I just wanted to, Dr. Saxon, I forgot to mention, I guess, when he talked about trust. In our office, we have therapists that are not from this community. We always work towards our credibility in our agency, and we take that very seriously because I know that is an issue that people don't trust, and they're very scared to come through the doors. So we're always, we take it very seriously, and we hope that it is tough. It is very tough, but we will continue to work and strive, and hopefully somehow our community will be, we'll be able to support in any which way we can to make a healthy community, to work towards a healthy community. That is our goal.
Yeah, for sure. Just for the community members and the listeners out there, I think like another interpretation of what Miss Red Iron Chokin and Dr. Saxon are saying is that it is a safe place they want to give reassurance to the membership that you're welcome to come to the office anytime. Like they said, they're open till 10 o'clock at night now. Even as a family, they do family mediations with your kids, with your adult kids. phone the office 344-5033, and you can set that up. You could set up a mediation if you want to change the environment in your home as a parent or guardian, and you're looking for some assistance with that. Wellness is available to do that. You can set that up with them. They can either come to your house and do it, or else bring you to the office and do it. And I think it's all about empowering our parents and our homeowners. you know I think we all see it. Our relatives are going through what they're going through, and a lot of times it's hard to manage early on. It tends to kind of get away from us as the homeowner. So yeah, just know that healing and wellness is available to help in that area, whether it's a hub committee approach or an interagency approach. If the comfortability is not really there, you're unsure or you're afraid or whatever, we do have the cultural team that could come in if you want to approach the situation from a different angle. You can reach out to the same office, the wellness office. Grant and his team, they can set up elders and smudge and things like that. And them too, they could come to your home, or else they could set something up at the round hall or the wellness office. The resources are there. It's just a matter of tapping into them, taking that step. I think ultimately we all know and agree that some hard decisions need to be made, especially when there's little kids involved that are toddlers and infants and babies and 5 years old and under, 10 years old and under. I think as parents we have to determine what's the next best step for everyone in this home, especially our kids like that, for ongoing community development. So the resources are there. It's all safe. It's something worth entertaining. I know there's a lot of situations out there like that. We all know people, our loved ones, who are in those situations, and I think doing this episode is a little bit around the education of the options that are out there. So I think with that, I'll hand the floor over to Mr. Whitstone, just if he wants to add on to the discussions going on right now from his observations.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. One of the things that I also want to make mention is you talked about people coming into the office, looking for support. And that's the unique thing about Onion Lake Healing and Wellness. It's a balance. When people come in and they do an intake and they see a worker, and sometimes people ask for the cultural component side of things. So we accommodate one another in that office. So in other words, we're there to make sure if an individual comes in and says, I'm right now I'm on a clinical side, but I'd like to get more support on the cultural component of the program, whether they want to talk to an elder or where they want to do a sweat ceremony, or they want to be a part of the medicines that we have in our office. We can accommodate that individual as best as we can. It's not just one or the other. It's a balance of both. And that's the unique thing about the wellness program. In our community, we can work with you on what it is and how it is that we can, fit the needs of what it is that you're looking for. But not only that, but that's also going outside the office. We do a lot of different outdoor programming, land based programming in particular. When I talk about land based, I'm talking about we have camps up at the Bear Camp. We all know where that is. And of course, sometimes we use the Harlan Camp with the education, working collectively with them. We get calls from different programs to go support them when it comes to, let's say, for example, talking about the medicines, talking about the different traditional, ceremonies that we have. Even just last week, we had a youth drum making program that was very successful. There was about 20 kids out there with their parents that came out, and you know what? We're trying to make sure that everybody is aware of what kind of program we offer in our community. We provide, medicine gathering trips, and certain types of the year. There's only certain types of medicines that we pick, and then at the same time, we have these camps at Bear Camp, whether it's a men's camp, a woman's camp, or a grieving camp. We have all different types of camps that we can help families to come out there, because one of the things that we've been really, really working with is getting back to the land, letting our people know that we have to connect back to the land of who we are as Indigenous people. Connect with the animals, connect with all the natural resources that we have in our backyard. We can't forget, that's how we got here, was we survived, with the land and everything that was provided for us. Today, it's very unfortunate we live in that contemporary lifestyle. It's so easy. But the old people always say, let's get back to the land. Let's connect back to, how we survived. We don't have to necessarily live it, but we still have to connect. That's the most important thing that the old people talk about. And we try and do that from the wellness side of things. Under Onion Lake Healing and Wellness Program, we balance both the clinical and the cultural program when people come in. We don't, we don't discriminate anybody. Whoever comes through that door, we welcome them with open arms. And then we try and make sure that, whatever it is they're looking for, we're trying to accommodate them. On the cultural side of things, elders come in and talk to the, some of the clients. We have different types of ceremonies every month. We have different types of solstice ceremonies every quarterly year, and we involve both men and women, and now we're starting to bring in the youth, bringing youth more involved in some of these programming. But sometimes one of the things that I like is when the programs call us and ask for support. That's something that's important. We're now more open to helping out different programs, whether it's education, whether it's CFS or SA. They ask us to help them out in some kind of a different small little 1 hour talk, whatever it is, a subject that they want us to talk about. Last year with the education, we were involved with them with the treaty talks, 2 days. And again, these are some of the things. That's just an example that I'm using out there on what the cultural component offers in our community. Most importantly, we try and provide support. We know we've been going through a lot in our community, and as far as a lot of different types of ceremonies, that we make sure that we try and support the people that host these ceremonies. We get called lots on Oskape Osak, and that's where our team goes to help our people. So collectively, it is a balance. We work side by side. If someone comes into the office and says, "I'd like to get some cultural support," or "I like to see someone on the therapeutic side," we want to make sure that we make sure that everybody is taken care of, whatever it is need that they're looking for. And you know what? If you're just looking for medicines, stop by. We have those Indian medicines in our office. We have a room full of all these different types of medicines that we can give you and provide for you. All it takes is, bring some protocol, bring some tobacco, and we'll trade you. You know, kispin ginto tingi ko maskigi kana kusita tas kus natawapugan apugi ko tak ki ko pigo tamigo intanse kis tago na tawi ko sin tago ko maskiga na net maskigi ay tegatos kya nana togi ko no gagi egi mamu sagin me ogo mo pugi teman egi sport saha ko atos kahagan kanto musagin maskigi ni cheta sino pepitego epento nagsisigi ko gumana ko si tamoa hekte pego sneaks ko toskyo netego metoskyo ya awas sakte pepis sakte gagnemichik Amanda sigaso wala manan pesitos kagonan wala na egi migusit tanse kis nagato gitu maskigia gumana gano teusita agi we askumanagan natsana kapichigo te pegama enote witaman. We have a staff member that was in the cultural program. Now she moved to the baby clinic office, but we still utilize her because she's very knowledgeable in these traditional medicines, and that's Amanda Lewis. We're very privileged that a young lady has that gift to share with us every day about all these medicines. And but we encourage the old people to come into our office, and we encourage them to come and show us some of the medicines that we don't have, to give us some of that valuable knowledge of how this medicine is and where do we pick it. And because that's one thing that's very important that the old people talk about. We have to continue keeping this information for our people, this knowledge of how we can take care of one another. And I want to make mention that there is ways of how we can help each other through mental health. It's either the cultural side of things or the therapeutic side of things. And I just wanted to share that we are open to whichever way it is that anybody wants to get some help from our office. So with that, thank you.
Hi, Grant. I think just listening to you talk, I think a lot of that ties back to like wagutuin. Dansi say wagutama aski, Mother Earth and our relationship with all that, the water. I did actually see in the wellness office what Grant is talking about. I think there's about like 15 or more different types of medicines that are available there, natural medicines from Mother Earth. And I know Grant's team, they go to like Jasper, they go to the mountains, and they go to different areas in the different provinces to look for this stuff and to come and share it with our community. So they do have that, and like Grant said, there's no cost to it. It's this protocol with tobacco and trading trading some time. So I think with that, there's one more key point here that I wanted to touch on, and I think it's important for our community to see and realize this, because I think it'll create support from the community level to the department level or the staff level or the leadership level, you know, I think it'll create some unity, and it'll give us something tangible or something visual to see what the challenges are right now facing the community, and how can we collectively start overcoming these and growing our community in a healthy way. So the question that I have here is, and if you guys don't mind, I'd like to have a roundtable on this, so everyone gets a chance to throw in their observation and perspective into this. So what are some of the most pressing mental health challenges you see in our community? And yeah, I think today, and maybe a little bit about the history and the evolution to that led us to where we are now, and how can we as a community come together to overcome this stuff and help start healing our community. So again, what are some of the most pressing mental health challenges you see in our community today?
Okay, I'll start. Like I was saying, when people are looking for support one way or another, one of the most the things I see is that, when I talk to people at Coffee Row, or when I just stop and talk to people on the side of the road, or at one of our venues, it's very challenging for them to come out and admit the fact, that they're looking for support. But the other thing too is sometimes they want to keep a lot of things, to themselves, so it's not out there in rumorville, right? Of what people are going through. And that's something I believe that's very important. We need to identify in our community what are the challenges people are facing, so we can create that, preventative interprevention program for all our people, right? Now, on the cultural component side, and I hear this all the time, and I'm going to use this medicine talk for an example. We've tried to have a medicine talk this summer and this fall, and for some reason it didn't happen. And finally, I asked an elder, "Tinumenu takes kit tamano maskigyu tagigwe moachita kaksna moa kita sinin mo kigo mute este magay skaitet aputagam mochto egay ki masakona tsaka sino sa moma masneganet tigi masnegate go maskigia puguma kamusuitame kamusakonetame mamtali tsegale eituet Osam kaas manuksigi tuta ki teegi peks na moach kata sini mo agunu wa egi moachita. So in English, when I asked this elder, I said, "We're this is challenging having a medicine talk," and he said, "Well, one of the things that the old people talk about is, technically we're never supposed to put these medicines in writing because we're going to lose these. Somebody's going to take these and use them somewhere else to maybe sell this recipe or whatever the case may be. And maybe that's why you're having a hard time having this medicine talk." And I said, "Yes, I understand that, but the reason behind this medicine talk is we need to teach our people during this time period of all the different medicines that are available out there. So the people that have the knowledge of these medicines don't take it with them when they pass away. At least we can provide this information for the next generation to use, as far as how it is that a simple piece of medicine can help or somebody's sickness." And that's how they interpreted it, is because it was never supposed to be written, these recipes. These were all handed down through knowledge, through actual hands-on teachings of how to create these medicines. It was never ever to be put on paper because that's just who we were and still are as far as carrying these traditional values of these teachings. So I respect that. But at the same time, I think it's important that we have to think of today's times where we have to put something on paper so we can continue sharing these medicines to the next generation. So we're going to still have trying these medicine talks. We're still going to try and host one. And yeah, there might be some people that don't agree with it. And I respect that, but at the same time, I think it's important we have to preserve this information so we can still utilize it, for generations to come. I'm just using that as an example on some of the challenges that we're facing with on that part. So thank you.
Hi. So yeah, again, what are some of the most pressing challenges you see in our community today, Miss Iron? Or
My turn?
sure.
I guess so. The most pressing challenges.
Yeah.
When you mention Wakuhtun, our theme for now week is Sukastatan Wakuhtun. So what does that mean? We're bringing our kinship because we see such a separation with families. Um, all our relations. I'll say, in working here for 20 years, I'll say I'm going on my 20th year, I guess. I see a lot of brokenness with families, a lot of resentment people hold on to, which a lot of unresolved grief, pain, and which leads to anger, and then the rest of the things that causes us to break and separate is what I see. And in saying that, we try different ways of bringing the community together. Like I know we're slowly working, and it's all the whole community working towards having a park in front of Kihiu. This year we brought the monument, and we had a beautiful celebration. I think I read on Facebook whoever put that together. Well, it was Healing and Wellness that got together and made that happen. And I don't know if I thanked all staff at that time, but it was a beautiful ceremony. I read a lot of good responses from elders and young people together with the blanket. To us, it was a simple gesture, but it was showing love. And I heard some from community members that having children wrap them with those blankets, they felt a sense of comfort. Smudging, how things we just come together, like Grant mentioned. We're such a unique agency, and I feel fortunate to work there because of how we provide service. I mean, if you think of our whole community, there's many different denominations, and we're all open to whoever walks through our doors. I know Grant mentioned this several times, and we support whoever. We're not here to judge anybody, and yeah, and I think even working towards making that park a place where people could go and sit, maybe planting trees there. Um, having maybe a historical site where they could read about Onion Lake. But we need the whole community. We need leadership to make it happen. And I know, it started off with a few of us ladies that, tried to get this happening, and it takes time, but I'm hoping, it'll be in our lifetime where we'll see something growing. So yeah, I think I'll end it there for now.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, no, I think this is a really awesome question. And I think there's no right or wrong answer. and it's a question that I'm hoping we can ask, especially like the counselors and therapists from wellness, because they're on the front lines. They're sitting with the families or the individuals, talking about their challenges and issues. So I think asking them this question, you'll get a different answer that's more directly related to the front lines and like trauma, grief,
Mhm.
this, right?
Mhm.
So but yeah, so moving on, we'll go to Dr. Saxon.
Thanks, Reza. So I thought I'd think about this as a big picture kind of description. So when you look at the history of colonization for 500 years, you look at generational trauma, you look at intergenerational trauma, and then there are particular negative side effects from that. And those negative side effects are manifesting within the community and within the people that we see on a day-to-day basis. One of the things that Brenda touched upon, which is what we see evolving in the last decade or so, is how kinship tends to be not disappearing, but it's kind of narrowing to immediate families. So, for example, so the nuclear family would be the mom, dad, and the children. So kinship seems to still exist very strongly within that particular grouping. But what we see that's slowly dissolving is those kinship ties with first cousins, with second cousins, and third cousins. That slowly there seems to be a distance that's growing between that group. And then this is, as you know, one of the things about being a tribal culture is what makes us strong is those particular kinship ties across all our relations. I can remember very clearly when I was growing up, my first cousins were my brothers, you know, and we were so close. There was such emotional intimacy. But when I look at my sons and their relationship to their first cousins, it's very weak. It's almost non existent. And that's a sad thing to see disappear because that's what has made us strong. So one of the things that we need to really work on is how to, together with our program, both on the cultural level and the clinical level, but also in conjunction with all the other departments, is how to rekindle and reestablish the kinship. That's integral to long-term kind of healing. Number two is when we are living under 500 years of colonization and generational, intergenerational trauma, what happens is there's a part of our minds that gets used to living from one crisis to another. So not only do us as individuals become crisis oriented, but we know that the community itself becomes crisis oriented, meaning that, when we look at just typically what's happened in the last couple of months and the amount of grief that has overwhelmed the community, everybody is living from one crisis to another. And this is very difficult because there is no sense of having the energy to be able to look beyond the next day. We're just focused on trying to get through the day itself. And that's something that we have to kind of help get away from. We have to move away from that. And there are ways to do it, but maybe we can discuss that in another podcast. But I just want to go back to what and end with what Brenda and Grant are talking about. We have an exceptionally unique program that accepts people unconditionally where they're at without any judgment. So when you walk in the door, your needs are what drives the program. We don't have a program that tries to fit you in. Rather, when you come in the door, we try to tailor the program to you as an individual based on where you're at and what your needs are. Hi.
Hi, Dr. Saxon. Yeah, that's a good point. What you just said, like we could have a whole episode just on this topic or this area alone. Yeah, which is something we'll work on actually setting up. I think it'll be beneficial for the community having these discussions because now other departments and programs and different staff perspectives can come back and watch these and gather information, and when they're developing their programs, the information we're putting on the table, they can pick and choose and create a program that helps address the challenges that we're facing within the different areas and different programs. And I think it's beneficial to like an interagency committee. Yeah, because we're all going through it. All our programs face challenges, and I think by creating unity, we can help kind of cover the bases and hopefully cover more ground and be more impactful to our community in the short term and in the long term. There's a couple points Dr. Saxon touched on, and I've heard this discussion many times. A lot of times, I guess it's a like critical feedback or constructive feedback. Again, I've heard this discussion many times from different levels and people, but we are like in a reactionary state right now. And I think that goes back to what Dr. Saxon touched on a lot, like the crisis mode, survival mode. A lot of times we're just reacting to things that are happening in the community. And I think we want to switch that to a more proactive approach where we minimize that stuff ahead of time. Like you guys said, prevention, early prevention. So yeah, I think having these communication or these discussions are really important, especially on a platform like this, because now it allows other people to come in and hopefully utilize the piece of information and be a piece of the puzzle where we're all working together, right, towards a proactive kind of situation or setup. Another point I want to touch on before we go, what Miss Red Iron Chokin touched on, like the Wagutuan piece. Grant touched on it too, and what Dr. Saxon touched on, how it's evolving to more immediate family, when not too long ago it was our extended family and our community. We were all tight knit and close. Yeah, and part of the vision with this program over here with a platform like this is hopefully strengthening that kinship and that Wagutuan again by allowing us to have these discussions for people to watch and observe and hopefully utilize in their lives. So again, it's all about creating unity. Just another couple of points before we go. I think couple other challenges that are facing our community, not just the wellness department, but everybody, is the population growth. We have, like Saxon said, we have a huge population, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And obviously, the challenge that comes with that is funding or resources or space or transportation, manpower, staff, people who are educated and trained and qualified to deal with these matters. I think another challenge too is like the 8:30 to 4:30 schedule. We're all committed and required to be at our jobs, so our time is tied up. Meanwhile, these issues are happening at the same time in the community on the ground level. So how do we find a balance, for that? How do we? But yeah, again, that's a discussion for another time. So yeah, I'll open up the floor if anyone wants to add on to what's being discussed.
I just want to end with one thing. I just want to give a shout out to all the young folk out there, the future generation of leadership. Sometimes it may feel like you don't have a voice and that your concerns are not heard. But I must say that this forum that we're using right now and today, and that Fraser is advocating for, is a way for you to have a voice, a way for you to participate, and a way for you to find a way forward, even though you may feel that somehow you don't have a voice. So, to all those young people out there, please tap into this podcast and take part and give it your voice. Hi.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I'm not sure who all follows this page, but it is something that we have been doing. We've been bringing in people have been reaching out to me, like my age group, my peers, my generation, younger, older. They want to come and share their story. And I think that's really awesome. We had a young man in here last week, and he shared his childhood, his challenges, growing up, not having role models in the home, growing up in drugs and alcohol, and navigating through that, and the mental health challenges that come with that, and then sharing tools that helped him overcome those things, and just having discussions around mental health. Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up, Dr. Saxon. Just
welcome.
for the viewers out there, yeah, like reach out. Again, the information that's shared here it's so beneficial to our staff and to our leadership and our directors and our planners and everybody. There's a lot in there that can help us be more proactive with our community development. Mrs. Redar, joking.
I just wanted to add for Naw Week, we're inviting those that have walked the Sober Trail, the Sober Road, to come in. Monday, we'll open the mic because it is very important to hear their stories. Your story is your story, and it needs to be heard because that's also healing. And as well, Friday, we'll open the mic for those that are walking that Sober Trail, where your story is worth hearing.
Where at?
At the community hall for both days. Monday after our sober walk, and then Grant and I will Grant will MC, and I'll support him, and then there'll be students there. So if those of you out there in the community that, like I said, that have led the sober walk, come and tell your story, how you got there, because we'll all learn from each other. And Friday as well, Friday afternoon at the hall. We'll start at 11, actually.
That's awesome. That's something we try to do in here too. So
Mhm.
yeah, I have a meeting after this. I'm actually gonna try set up at locations during now week, and
Yeah.
we'll try capture these stories and
Mhm.
inspiration for the community. Grant.
No, that's good. Starting off now week, we're inviting everybody Sunday for a community feast. We're going to have a pipe ceremony at the hall. And then just keep your eyes open and ears close to the ground, because we have 1 week full of activities, and there is posts out there under that big billboard over there by the Meridian, and our radio station is announcing it every day. And you know what? Our social media department at our office have it posted under Onion Lake Healing and Wellness and Onion Lake Health Board Inc. And somebody will be posting up um, actual posters at the high traffic areas this week for what's happening throughout the community. Everybody's welcome to participate. All walks of life. Eksama, hi, hi.
Hi, hi. You reminded me of a good point, and I want to put a request to you guys. Maybe one at some point this week we could podcast about now week, and we could get into the details and the schedule and what's going on where, what time, inform the community, and just kind of get into that a little more. So yeah, hopefully this week we can do that before Sunday. And we'll identify people that come in and promote all that.
Yeah.
So I think with that, we'll shut it down if there's nothing more. Before we go, I'd like to ask for closing comments, just really quick. We'll have a round table, and yeah, we'll shut it down from there. So I think we'll start to my left here, Mr. Whitstone, and then we'll come around to the right.
Okay, thank you. Hi, hi, nanaskum tanan ka kiyo in tuto ya no chota. Kamam skutsigya mitigatuskia. Umute hugumanga munia witan any lake healing and wellness managay sigatak ni mo askegan. Hastamik kispin kintim tin tansisigi switch sigiwi. Pipitigik hawigan sats kapik skatigo. Okay, skangan again. Hi, hi.
Nista Kinanaskum now. I'd like to thank Fraser for inviting us here to speak with you on about healing and wellness and what we offer and how we support. I know there's a lot of grief in our community. I ask families to be there for each other. Not you don't need to say anything. I know a lot of times people will say, "I don't know what to say." Just be present, hugging each other. If some of you don't know, but when you hug a person, you're actually creating, and maybe Dr. Saxon can help me on this from the psychological perspective. But there's chemicals that
Oxytocin.
makes you become stronger. So the more hugs you give your kids and yourselves as adults, you're helping yourself become stronger. It just there's those chemicals that the synapses, I guess, is what I wanted to say. But be there for each other, and like Grant said, we're open. If you're scared to come in, phone one of us. We can walk you to our office. We provide all sorts of services there and support. It's not just talk therapy, even if you want to come and sit. I know one of the people that have lost a child came in there, and we sat with her and helped her through that process. So again, kinanaskum now, hey, enjoy your day.
Hi. They also have a punching bag therapy, which is Grant, the volunteer. So sign up for that. Mr. Saxon, Dr. Saxon.
Thank you, Fraser, for the opportunity to be here today and to to share information about all the programs that we offer at Healing and Wellness. I just want to say that we have an amazing team of both individuals and managers who work extremely hard every day. And we have a lot of support from Chief and Council as well. And I just want to say to the community members, please come in, give us an opportunity to be able to just sit down with you and share a cup of coffee and just talk. And hopefully a relationship will begin. Hi.
Hi, Dr. Saxon. Hi, Brenda, Grant. Thanks for doing this. For the viewers out there, we do have a commitment for Mental Health Mondays from our wellness department. So they'll be rotating staff and we'll get different perspectives on mental health and we'll have discussions around that. Hopefully that helps with our community members that are going through whatever they're going through. Just a reminder, there's no such thing as a perfect life. We all have issues. We all have challenges. It doesn't matter where we're coming from, who we are, what type of education we have. We're just as human as anybody else, and we all need to help each other. There's a question here before we go. I'd like to, if you guys don't mind, we have a question from a viewer. Do you guys have AA meetings?
Every day.
Every day.
So she's asking, she says, I know you guys have NA meetings. Do you guys have specifically AA meetings?
It's a combination of both.
We call it addictions programming, but it's different topics. And again, it's the participants that will request what they want, if they have a particular, but we have a good combination of programs.
So essentially what it
topics.
is that we're talking about is you have AA programming, you have NA programming, Narcotics Anonymous, and you have Crystal Meth Anonymous, CMA programs.
Mhm.
We've taken those three programs, we've combined them into one. There is an educational part, a life skill component part, and a prevention and coping part. So just depending on what people are looking at, they can always, during the meeting, ask questions specific to their own recovery.
So every day at what time?
2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 1 hour.
At the wellness boardroom?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Every day, NA, AA, CMA, all combined into one. Wellness boardroom, wellness department,
And we do provide transportation to and from.
and they provide transportation. Awesome. So the question, the individual that's asking, she followed up a question. She said it would help more so for AA most needed and support. So I think she's asking for like a specific AA program.
And this is an opportunity for us then to set up a program like this in the evenings that could be solely dedicated to AA,
Yeah.
the 12-step model.
Awesome. Yeah. So she's saying hi. I think that's one of the cool things about doing something like this. When it comes to community engagement, this provides an opportunity for membership to make recommendations or whatever it is. Yeah, and I think that's really awesome. A lot of times I think that's challenging for departments and directors to have community or members engage or make recommendations. So I think this platform is designed to help with that. So yeah, I think that's it. We'll shut it down. Hi. Thanks everybody for joining us. And Kamyogi Sagan Sinawal, Swatski Tam Kanaks Katatanano, Myogi Sagan Sik. Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Get that nicht here on.